Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek, I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today. That is because as of about 18 hours ago, as I record this audio, Syphon Filter got a static recompilation for PlayStation 1. And honestly, it's been a lot of big decomp energy in the year of 2026, and that train is going to keep on rolling, getting up to full speed with a lot more fun projects coming down the line. And honestly, Syphon Filter, maybe not my favorite PlayStation 1 game ever made, but I do quite enjoy it. I know a lot of people have been asking for this one, so they should be stoked. And honestly, every single PlayStation 1 static recomp is going to aid in the development of future ones, so getting a game, even if it's not your top 10 favorite, is going to be a fun time. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But jumping right into the world of these Syphon Filter static recompilation, you're going to notice right off the top, it both looks a lot better and runs a lot faster. But the one thing you can't see, and I'll explain it first because it isn't a visual thing, has got to be the control scheme. It's the biggest value add quality of life improvement this recomp has. I am playing with mouse and keyboard, and when you go into first person mode, you do that by right clicking the mouse and holding it down. You have full mouse aim, which is going to be night and day better than a PlayStation 1 control scheme, because this was still the era in which developers are trying to figure out exactly how to make games work in 3D. I would say sometimes they were successful and sometimes there was a little bit of jank. But I do love that those two dudes just ran off like a 20-foot tall brick wall and basically survived. In real life, they'd be getting an ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus reconstruction surgery basically the next day if their spine didn't go all the way through the back of their neck. All jokes aside, I kind of love just how logical games can be sometimes. But honestly, mouse and keyboard with full aiming, that is something that this game is just going to benefit from so much. It really does improve the playability, at least in my opinion. Would you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, fan of Syphon Filter or not? I still have all three games on my shelf in my PlayStation 1 collection, and I did enjoy them back when I was a kid, but right now, there's just something about them. I enjoy them, but this one maybe doesn't excite me as much as it does you. But that is the fun thing about talking about all of these static recomps. I show you guys what's new. Some people are stoked and some people are thinking, I can't wait for another game to come out. So you leave me a comment down below and you tell me again, if you could snap your fingers and make one game show up as a perfect static recompilation, which one would it be? Now, just for the people that care about this, I went through the repo. The only contributor is listed as the developer, and there really isn't any other repo in which they use Claude or anything else. But recently, sometimes developers actually change the description after I've released the video, and then people get mad at me for not saying it. So it is basically July 28th right now in the morning that I'm recording this, so when you watch it, if the information has changed, don't yell at me, just go ahead and yell at the developer. But all jokes aside, I don't think this has anything to do with Claude, at least as far as I can see. And there's definitely going to be a lot more PlayStation 1 recomps on the way. There's so many new incredible tools like Recomp 1 and other engines that are basically going to allow you to bring these recomps over to PC faster. I know of a few in development that you don't know of yet and you're going to be very excited about, and there's one that I'm testing right now to see if it's kind of hitting the quality mark before I want to take a look at it in a video, because things do not need to be perfect for me to show them to you, but if I can't get far enough in to get enough footage to actually even present it, that is something you don't see on the channel, because the reality is there's a bunch of recomps out there that I do not talk about. But I was stoked to talk about Syphon Filter. Just take a look at how smooth it's running here. You get 16:9 support, you get a higher frame rate, you don't have any of the overall wobbling polygons at the edges of the screen. Everything is perspective correct as far as the texturing is concerned. It really looks more like a PlayStation 1.5 game or something in development on PlayStation 2 about a year before the hardware was finalized. And that is something that definitely benefits this game and the overall performance of it, because I would say between the mouse and keyboard support and the better performance, it becomes a less frustrating game to play, because I would say the original Syphon Filter, sometimes with its frame rate and aiming, you could end up in a situation where you felt like you took an unfair death just because the game was kind of fighting you. And that really was something that we dealt with in the Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1, and N64 era, performance that could actually hinder gameplay. I think that's why people are enjoying these recomps the most, because it takes games that we remember loving and actually makes them run the way that our nostalgia tells us they did back in the day if it hasn't been anything other than 30 decades since you played them. Let's do a soundtrack sample so you can hear the audio quality in this recomp, and I'll be back with more Syphon Filter.
Roamers men have set a viral bomb on level 1. If you find and tag it, I'll give its location to CBDC.
Copy. Where's Roamer?
Level 2.
I'm on my way.
So I would say the audio balance is slightly off there, but I did take a look at an original hardware capture of Syphon Filter, and I would say that that audio balance kind of prioritized the voices over the sound effects as well. That seems to be more in part with what actual hardware would be doing and less in part with the recomp here, but I would love the ability to kind of change the audio volumes around a little bit in the launcher. And just so you know, there is a launcher available for this. That's how you actually run it. You give it your legally owned game files, you set up your controls, you can rebind anything you want, you pick whether or not you want it in windowed or full screen, and then you can actually even pick your resolution for the output, basically getting it internally rendering at that resolution for your PC. And then you just hit launch and you go from there. Though honestly, the launch button I think is more something like debrief, so definitely just keep that in mind if you're trying to find the play button. They kind of call it something kitschy, kind of to go along with the Syphon Filter sort of naming convention. But I will say this one is absolutely successful in what it's trying to do. It is absolutely incredible to play this game on mouse and keyboard, and even though it's not something you can see in the video, I can assure you that this is just the way that the game should have controlled from the first part, even though obviously there wasn't a mouse and keyboard available for PlayStation 1 that you can just run games like this. It just absolutely improves your ability to play the game. It does not get rid of any of the jank though, because some of the enemy AI in this game is absolutely mindless, and I did again kind of compare it to original captures, and they seem to be about as brain dead on PlayStation 1 as they do in the recomp, because some of the patch notes here on some of the releases note that some of the enemy AI was having a little bit of an issue, that they did fix it up, but it still definitely has some issues, but I'm sure that's just inherent to the game code. Because that's what you need to remember about static recomps. It's going to basically just make the same game better. It's going to make it run faster, it's going to make it run prettier, but it does not automatically solve any issues in the game code or logic. So if you had enemy AI that was basically just running around in circles in the base game, unless somebody modifies that code and tells you that they do, you're going to have the same enemy behavior in a static recomp as well. And I've noticed a couple comments on recent videos saying, well, why does the game still feel a little bit broken? That is because it's just statically recompiling something that was broken in the first place, so now it just runs faster and looks prettier while being broken at the same time. So keep that in mind with all of these projects. Until somebody goes in and starts to modify that code, you're not getting anything better on the gameplay front. You're getting things better on the control, on the visual, and on the frame rate front. So basically the reality is, if you loved Syphon Filter back in the day, you're going to love this version even more, and if you didn't think it was a good game on PlayStation 1, there's nothing that a static recomp is going to do to convince you that the game is more fun than you remember it. I do love Dude's face model there. His jaw is basically like Glenn Quagmire levels of absolutely jacked. Not sure what he's been doing to that thing, but it is massive. But all jaw jokes aside, that's something that people are getting more used to with static recomps. Unless the game code is modded, there's a mod engine, and people decide to pivot up the gameplay or how the game works, it is still going to be the exact same gameplay experience, just made better. Let's do one more soundtrack sample. Again, some voice acting, some sound effects, and everything else so you can get the audio quality, and I'll come back and explain how to get this one set up if you want to play it on your PC today. I do love the soundtrack. It's kind of like a mix between a James Bond movie and something from Mission Impossible. You'll see here that enemy is trying to run off into the distance, going someplace that he is not allowed to go. And again, that could still be a bug in this actual recomp, because this is marked as version 0.1, so do keep that in mind, because sometimes when people watch videos, they think to themselves, well, this isn't doing exactly everything I want, it must not be good. If it's marked as version 0.1, it's not supposed to be 100% good. It is still in development. This is listed as a preview dev build, so go into that thinking that you're going to see a couple of little bits of jank here and there, and if you find that the developer is asking for you to open up issues on the actual issue ticket area of GitHub to better be able to track those bugs, because all these developments are basically a community product where a lot of people play it, find bugs, and then the developer goes back in and fixes them up. We've seen that on the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Dusklight PC port. You're going to be seeing it soon on the Courage Reborn PC port, and basically every other recomp and port out there. The community plays it, they test it, they find bugs, the developer fixes fixes them, rinse and repeat until you get to the point in time where you have a near perfect or perfect static recompilation of a game. But even in its development status right here, the fact that I've got mouse and keyboard control, the fact that I can play it easier, it's prettier and runs faster is good enough for me. But you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, Syphon Filter fan, yes or no? I would be curious, and I love that these dudes just completely run past me here. And even though it looks prettier, don't forget, it is not improving the polygonal count, it is still the PlayStation 1 models. But if you want to play this one again, the link's in the GitHub description. Go ahead and pay attention to the actual details on how to get it running. Don't skip over them, but if you can double click and drag and drop a file, you should be perfectly fine. But short of that, we are done, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.